Hello there. Thank you for taking a moment to watch this video. And on this specific training, I want to talk to you about receiving inbound phone calls. You see, as you're making phone calls with PhoneBurner, you always have to display an outbound caller ID. Somebody needs to be able to get back to you. And there's a lot of different ways that you can manage what phone number is displayed to which prospect, right? We have the ability to create number pools that are assigned to individual agents within our team. We have the ability to create number pools that are assigned to you directly. You have the ability to create number pools that route a phone call to a number outside of PhoneBurner. You have the ability to create a number pool that will route those callbacks to any one of those phone numbers to what we refer to as a flow, which essentially allows you to create a menu system where the person calling in can choose how they want that call to be routed, whether it's routed to an individual rep or a group of people. We have the ability to play a little bit of magic and route the call to the last person who called that phone number. And then another option that we have is what we refer to as groups, where an inbound call can be routed to a group of people and then whoever's available can actually take that call. Now, in most of these options, those inbound calls are going to be routed to somebody within the PhoneBurner system, right? And so that's going to be managed by your inbound call routing setting. So if the system has determined, based off of whatever the settings are for that number pool that contains the phone number that prospect called back, you manage that in your inbound settings. And in many cases, what you're going to do is you're going to route that call to an external number outside of PhoneBurner through call forwarding. And of course, we have the option for people who want to receive those inbound calls in a dial session window. So if you're making phone calls using PhoneBurner right now and somebody calls you back and the system has determined that you should receive that phone call, hey, let's just let you know about it in the dial session window so that you can take that call. Now, that option is only available to premium customers right now. That could change in the future, but right now that's how that works. And then finally, the next option is the ability to take a call inside PhoneBurner without actually being in a dial session. And that's the option I want to talk to you about right now. So if we scroll up to the top of the screen here, when you have this feature enabled or active on your account, you'll see an icon in the upper right-hand portion of the page that has a phone on it. If you click on that, you'll see the option for accepting calls or do not disturb. Now, obviously, if you set that to do not disturb, we're not going to bother you in the browser regarding any inbound calls. But let's go ahead and switch that back to accepting calls. When we have it set to accepting calls, we can either mute the audible notification of any inbound calls, or you can leave that turned on. Obviously, in most cases, if you're looking to accept calls, you want to hear that inbound call, but you have that choice. Now, of course, when a call comes into a phone number that the system has determined should be routed to you, you'll have the option to accept or decline that phone call. If you accept it, the first time you do that, you're going to need to grant permissions for your browser to allow PhoneBurner to access your microphone. Now, of course, if you choose the option to have the browser remember this, you won't have to accept that every time. But now that the browser has the ability to access my microphone, I can accept that phone call. And from here, I can see the prospect's name. I can see their phone number. I can even click to view the contact details. Let's go ahead and minimize this. Here's the current details for this contact. We can see they're currently in the contacts folder. Their last dial session status was gatekeeper. And I can review any past notes. Now let's go ahead and pull up that other window. And we'll see the option to mute my line. So I can now talk to somebody else without them hearing me, or I can unmute. And of course, when I'm done talking to them, I click on the red hang up button, and that'll disconnect me from the prospect. And what you'll see is an option to choose the call outcome or set the disposition. So let's say this prospect just called me back and we booked an appointment. So I'm going to choose the booked appointment disposition. However, before I do that, I just want to scroll through this and show you that you'll see a list of all of the dispositions that are part of this specific live answer set. And here I see all of the buttons that are part of that live answer set. So from here, I can choose the appropriate disposition. Once I've selected that disposition, I click on the confirm button. The little window is going to let me know that that call is complete and it's going to close. And now I'm back at PhoneBurner. If I refresh this page, you'll see that that contact has been moved into the appointment scheduled folder. So they went from contacts to appointment scheduled, and their dial session status has been updated from whatever it was before, I think it was gatekeeper, and it's now booked appointment. The system will also log a note if the disposition is configured to log a note. And then of course I can continue to update this record appropriately. Now I do want to point out that if the system has determined that you should receive that inbound call and you accept that phone call, even if you don't own that record, let's say for example you're using LeadStream and this prospect has been recycled, so maybe it's owned by the admin now, or maybe it's in another user's account waiting to be recycled. If the system has determined that you should receive that inbound call from this specific user, you're going to be able to access that record. Now, it's not going to transfer that record to you. You're not going to take ownership of it unless, of course, you click on a disposition that would then transfer the record so that you are the owner moving forward. It's going to leave the ownership as is. So keep that in mind. But anyway, that's a quick little overview how you and your team can start accepting inbound calls right within the PhoneBurner system without having to be in a dial session. So if this is something that you and your team might be interested in taking advantage of, please reach out to our team. Let us know that you're interested in accepting inbound calls within your PhoneBurner account so that we can help make sure that your account is properly set up and configured to take advantage of the next evolution of inbound call management in the PhoneBurner system. Thanks again, and happy dialing.